My name is Amber, and today we're in the living room and we're going to have a Tunisian blanket update. I have my last 4 squares done, so let's get into it. I think my numbering may be off, but according to what I have written down, this is number 55, and it's going to be called Squiggles, and the tutorial will be linked below. And I really like this fabric. It's very flexible, it's very loose, but it also has some plumpness to it because it has a cluster built into it, or is it a cluster or is it a shell? I don't know. But it's one of those ones where in your return pass you're pulling through 3, chaining 1, pulling through 3, chaining 1. So I really enjoyed this one. It's not hard to do. It does take a little bit of attention because each row, it's a 2-row repeat, and each row you're doing something different, and the return passes are also different as well. So this was a fun one to do. So number 55, Squiggles. 56 is called Tuesday Lace, and it was once again enjoyable. It's not as plump as the other one, but it is flexible and light, and I think it looks delicate enough to be a lace, but not completely holey that you go, you can fit a whole hand through the holes sometimes. But it was enjoyable to do, and so that's number 56. And then I had my variegated or bicolored squares for the new colors. And this one is actually a modified version of the tutorial. She named it Trellis Lace. And I honestly, as I was stitching it, it reminded me of the pie symbol. So I don't even think of it as trellis lace. I think of it as a pie. But it's modified because I tried following her directions and I couldn't do it. And I did this as a version of it, and I liked how it worked. Hers had a much more diagonal bent to it, and they were lined up and going up and down. And mine obviously is not. It's more stacked or staggered a little bit, but definitely not as diagonally as hers is. But it was simple enough to modify, and it was enjoyable to do. And it's actually a variation of the bamboo stitch. That's how you get these horizontal yarns, is pulling things over other stitches. But that was enjoyable. So that was number 57. I wanted to do something that I made up, and so this is, I actually pulled this thing out multiple times. It does have kind of a diagonal angle to it, but it'll stretch out fine to be in part of the blanket. I tried multiple different things trying to come up with my own design, and I just settled on a 2 together stitch and a yarn over, so that creates lots and lots of V's going up and down. I thought that looked nice in the 2 colors. But that is square number 58. So considering I was supposed to make 54 squares and I ended up with 58, I'm not sure how that's going to work. But I'm finishing my stacks according to the numbers I figured out a while ago. So I'm just moving forward in faith, and now that the squares are all finished, we get the joy of laying them out on the ground and figuring out the pattern. And that's definitely something I need Wes's help for, just as input and help just sheerly organizing them on the ground. But I think this is a huge step in the process. It is a little bit weird thinking I'm not going to be making squares anymore, because there's plenty more patterns I want to learn. Like the last video talked about being interested in lace patterns now. Maybe even experimenting with some smaller yarn. But that'll more than likely be a different project altogether. Because there's one maker I really like her patterns. What she shows is finished patterns. Her name's Yarnandy. I can link her channel below. But when I've tried following her instructions, I get confused and it doesn't necessarily turn out. But I would like to, at one day, make one of her shawls. That would be fun. And they're very beautiful and very delicate, and that would take practicing with smaller yarn and smaller needles, I think. So, but that's all the future projects, future thoughts. At the moment, this is just a huge milestone to finish my squares, even though the numbers don't seem to add up, but we'll figure it out. That's the whole point of this process, is exploring, learning, and figuring it out as I go. So make sure to tune in for next time. I'm sure it'll be very fun. A little bit of a change up, not just talking about squares, but talking about an overall pattern for the blanket. But till next time, feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day.